Okay, I don't care how bad your sleep's been lately, you still don't have a sleep problem. And honestly, you can stop obsessing over sleep hygiene and supplements and consistent bedtimes because chances are your sleep isn't broken at all, but your sleep mindset is. The reason nothing you've tried to fix your sleep has made a lasting difference isn't because you've been doing anything wrong, it's because you've been thinking about your sleep wrong. And until you change your sleep mindset, you won't be able to fix your sleep. So, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what that mindset looks like with 5 of my sleep success mindset shifts that I teach my clients that will completely change your relationship with sleep forever. Let me show you what I mean. Mindset shift number 1 is to give yourself a flexible bedtime window. If you've ever found yourself rushing to get into bed by a certain time or feeling like the whole night is ruined, even if you got into bed 30 minutes late, that's actually making it harder for your body to fall asleep quickly because rushing and putting pressure on your sleep signals to your brain to release cortisol, which is literally adrenaline, and that ends up suppressing your brain's melatonin levels. So, the more pressure that you put on bedtime, the more alert your body actually becomes, and that delays how quickly you'll be able to fall asleep. So instead of obsessing over your bedtime, instead it's way more effective to give yourself a flexible bedtime window. So if normally you're like, I have to be in bed by 10 p.m. or else, instead aim to be in bed between 9:30 and 10:30 or 9:30 and 11, right? And let's say it's already 10:30 p.m. and normally you would feel like you're running late to get into bed. This is going to be the most counterintuitive thing ever, but I want you to actually go slower. Rushing to get into bed is like an oxymoron. It doesn't go over well because you can't rush to sleep because rushing implies the exact opposite of sleep. So if you feel like you're getting into bed too late, it's not a big deal. Just take your sweet time with it. Go about your normal evening wind down routine, wash your face slowly, brush your teeth, read a book for a bit. There's no rush. And this will help you fall asleep faster than if you rushed and then got into bed and closed your eyes, but then your body was now pumping with adrenaline because you were putting so much pressure on it, and then you just end up tossing and turning for hours frustrated. Quick side note, if you've been struggling with your sleep for months or years, you're definitely going to want to watch my free masterclass too. This is where I go deep into the exact strategy I teach my clients to end chronic insomnia for good, including the subconscious ways you've accidentally been sabotaging your sleep without realizing it, and that link is in the description. Okay, so now that brings me to the next thing that I know you're thinking. If I get into bed later, that means I now only have 6 hours until my alarm goes off. This is what happens next. You start counting and calculating how many hours are left until you have to wake up in the morning. So that's why mindset shift number 2 is to detach your emotions from the clock. The spiral of stress starts the moment that you try to predict how you're going to feel tomorrow based on what time it is tonight. Because here's the thing, you don't actually know. Maybe you'll feel great. Maybe it won't matter. It's the stress thinking about the number that actually makes you feel worse, not the number of hours of sleep itself. So as much as you can, don't pay attention to the clock at all around the time you're getting into bed. But if you do see the time, you need to practice detaching your emotions from whatever time the clock says. I now have this relationship with time as something that's kind of arbitrary. So, for example, if I'm traveling and I have a really early flight in the morning and I have to get up at 4 a.m. or something, it really does not faze me. And I'm not a morning person by any stretch of the imagination. I like to wake up at like 8:30, 9 in the morning if I have the option. But I'm not attached to it. So if I'm up at 5 or 6 in the morning for something going on in my life, I just do it. It's not a big deal to me. And the night before, I'm also not worrying about getting up early either. So detaching your emotions from what time you see on the clock can help you in so many ways, which is why mindset shift number 3 is to redefine what good sleep actually means to you. Shift 2 was about what happens in the moment when you see the time on the clock. And now shift 3 is about something that you're carrying into bed before you even look at the clock. And that's the standard that you've set for what you think good sleep looks like. Because most of us are walking around with this invisible rule book about sleep. And the rules sound something like this. They sound like, I need 8 hours. I need to fall asleep quickly. I can't wake up in the middle of the night. I need to feel completely refreshed in the morning. And if any one of those criteria isn't met, your brain just decides the whole night was a failure and that your day is going to be terrible. So this one's really sneaky because it sounds responsible. We've all heard that we're supposed to get 8 hours a night. But here's the thing, your definition of good sleep might actually be making it harder for you to sleep. If you believe that anything less than 8 perfect, uninterrupted hours means your sleep didn't count or wasn't good enough, that rigid expectation creates stress in your body. And stress sucks away all the good vibes and it just makes you feel even worse for no reason. So what ends up happening is this. You fall short of your goal and then you immediately start thinking tomorrow or today is going to be a disaster. And that mindset alone puts your nervous system in a stress state before your day even starts. Some nights you'll get more sleep and some nights you'll get less sleep. And that's okay. You have to trust in your body's natural rhythm. And there's going to be times where you slept plenty and you had a rough day. And there's going to be times where you barely slept and you had a great day. The number of hours that you sleep does not determine how your day is going to go. And the more that you have an optimistic mindset on this, the more you'll end up surprising yourself. It's not just about the number of hours, it's how you respond mentally that makes the biggest difference. And to show you that these mindset shifts actually work, here are some members of my Sleep Success program who completely transformed their sleep by changing the way they think about it. You can pause the video if you'd like to read through these. And that brings me perfectly into mindset shift number 4, which is to stop trying to predict the future. Because here's what I see happening all the time, and I used to do this. I'm guilty of this. You have one bad night, and then immediately your brain fast forwards to tomorrow, and it thinks, today is going to be awful. I'm not going to be able to function. This is going to keep happening. But here's the thing. You don't actually know that. You're not a psychic. And even if you were, that's the fear voice in your mind. That's not your intuition. Your survival brain is catastrophizing, and it's not accurate. When you treat a bad night as evidence of what's coming in your future, you're not just worrying about the future, you're creating it. And that's exactly how one bad night turns into a week of bad nights, and a week turns into a month. Not because your sleep is actually broken, but because your brain has been collecting evidence and copy-pasting it into the future. That is all a mind game. It's not real. It is an illusion. Your survival brain has what's called a negativity bias. It's designed to notice and remember the bad stuff more than the good stuff because it wants to protect you. So if you had 3 okay nights and you had 1 rough night, your brain is just going to zoom in on the rough one and use it as the most important data point. But here's the truth. 1 bad night means nothing. Everyone has bad nights. People who sleep great have bad nights. They just don't make it mean anything. They wake up, shrug it off, and they move on. And because they don't attach meaning to it, it doesn't spiral and compound. So the next time you have a rough night, catch yourself before your brain starts trying to make it a bigger deal than it is. Remind yourself, this is just one night. It doesn't mean anything about tomorrow. It doesn't mean anything about my sleep. My body is resilient and it will catch up, and then just let it go. Because the moment that you stop treating bad nights as evidence for the future, they stop having power over you. And that is crucial for the pattern to start to break. Next is mindset shift number 5, which is to stop making sleep the most important thing in your life. I genuinely believe that this mindset shift is the biggest game changer of them all. When you're struggling with sleep, it has this way of taking over everything. It becomes the first thing that you think about when you get out of bed. It's the last thing you think about when you close your eyes, and your whole day revolves around it. You are considering how you feel. What are you going to plan? What are you willing to do? All based off of how you slept last night. And I really get this. I lived this way for way too long. When you're exhausted, it feels like that's the most important thing. But the irony is, the more important sleep becomes to you, the harder it is to sleep. Because importance creates emotional pressure. And emotional pressure creates stress. And cortisol, the stress hormone, stops your brain from producing melatonin, so you end up staying awake. Think about the people in your life who sleep well. They don't think about their sleep that much at all. They might prioritize it, but they don't obsess over it. Sleep is just something that their body does. It's a complete afterthought. And that indifference, that genuine not really caring, is exactly the signal that your nervous system needs to finally feel safe enough to let go and drift off to sleep at night. So start practicing redirecting your mind on your life instead. When sleep thoughts come up, just redirect your attention to something that actually matters more to you: your relationships, the people that you care about in your life and them doing well, your passions, the things that make your life feel meaningful and alive. The more you fill your life with things that genuinely make you happy and light you up, the less real estate sleep has in your mind. And the less mental real estate it has, the more sleep you'll end up getting. When my sleep finally transformed, it wasn't because I followed some perfect routine. It wasn't because I followed all the sleep hygiene rules. I barely followed any of them. And it definitely wasn't because I found some fancy sleep supplement blend. It was really because I changed the way that I related to sleep. And here's what I now know and what I teach my clients: sleep is not something you chase, it's something that you allow. You don't have sleep problems. You've just been thinking that you have sleep problems. Once I stopped identifying as someone who can't sleep and I started trusting that my body already knew how to sleep, that is when my sleep improved very quickly. And I got rid of the 16-year pattern of insomnia within weeks. It was crazy. So if you've been struggling for a while, there's a good chance that you've also built an identity around not being able to sleep without even realizing it. If that sounds like you, go watch this video next. I show you how to break the insomnia identity and reconnect with the version of you who already knows how to sleep. You can watch that right here.